Hello, my name is Terry Swears, and I'm a member of the Atrex support team. WooCommerce is one of the most widely used shopping carts currently available. To help you take advantage of that, today we are going to walk through configuring the Atrex WooCommerce import utility so that you can easily populate your WooCommerce site with your Atrex inventory information as well as retrieve online orders directly into Atrex. Before we start with the WooCommerce utility, we need to take a quick look at Atrex to make sure that your inventory is prepared for uploading to WooCommerce. Each of the products that you want to push up to your site needs to have a description and be assigned to a category. We recommend populating the tags and manufacturer fields for easier searching, and the Post to Web option must be checked. E-commerce tab provides access to some additional fields that allow you to specify an online product name other than your stock code and a place to put in a much larger product description. Let's move on to the utility itself. You can download the WooCommerce utility from the downloads page of atrex.com. When the download is complete, install it right into the same folder that Atrex is installed, and make note of where this is as you will need it later. After the installation is complete, start the utility and select Help from the main application window. Once the help is open, expand the General Information chapter and select the General Information topic within that. Please read through this entire topic and be familiar with the information on this page as it will help you get the best results from the utility. Now let's move on to the actual configuration process. Expand the Setup chapter and then select the WooCommerce and Utility Setup topic. This topic is broken down into two areas: setup required for your website and setup required for the utility itself. So let's start working through the WooCommerce setup steps. I've previously installed both WordPress and WooCommerce on my site, so I just need to open up my browser, log into the WordPress admin page, and start with step number 4. The utility relies on timestamps to properly synchronize the data, so it's important that the time zone is set correctly. Select Settings and then General from the menu. Select the proper time zone for your server and then save the settings. Now select Settings, Permalinks from the menu. The WooCommerce API requires a permalink setting other than the plain option to work properly. Use this page to select the desired permalink setting. Due to an oddity in the way that WordPress works, you must make a change in the selected permalink option, save it, and then change it back to the one you want before the change is actually applied. Failure to do this step will prevent you from connecting to your site. The next step is to modify your web server PHP configuration file to set the post max size variable to a value of 16 meg. This will allow for the upload of relatively large product images. As this is done outside of the WordPress settings, I can't show you how to do this step. If you do not know how to change the PHP configuration settings for your website, your web host should be able to make this change for you. Next, we are going to install the Atrex SyncHelper Plugin. This plugin allows the utility to manage product images in such a way that prevents runaway usage of disk space by the WordPress media library. From the menu of your WordPress admin page, select Plugins and then click the Add New button. Next, click the Upload Plugin button, then click the Choose File button and select the WooCommerce Atrex SyncHelper.zip file from the folder in which you installed the Atrex e-commerce utility. Then click the Install Now button. After the plugin is installed, click the button to activate the plugin. Please note that you may need to reinstall the plugin again using these same steps for future updates to the utility. Now click on the WooCommerce Settings menu selection. Select the General tab, and enable taxes. Click the Save Changes button. Now that taxes are enabled, you can click on the Tax tab that appears after the page refreshes. In order for Atrex to properly calculate the same tax amounts when importing orders, you must select the option to enter prices exclusive of tax, and select the option to round tax at the subtotal level instead of rounding per line. Use the tax options links at the top of this page to configure your standard and zero tax entries. Please make sure that your tax names are unique when configuring them so that they can be properly mapped to the Atrex tax categories. Now select WooCommerce Settings from the menu and click on the Accounts and Privacy tab. While not required, it is recommended that you allow customers to create accounts. Using customer accounts allows for better customer matching during the order retrieval. Now it's time to acquire the keys to the kingdom. From your WordPress admin page, select WooCommerce Settings and then click on the Advanced tab when it refreshes. Select REST API from the list of links just below the tabs. Then click on the Add Key button. Enter in any description that you want that will help you recognize this key in the future. Select a user that has an editor or administrator role in WordPress. Then set the permissions options to read-write. Lastly, click the Generate API Key button. Copy both of the keys into a notepad document or some other temporary place, as you will need these keys for the utility configuration. Don't worry if you forget or lose these, as you can revoke the ones that you no longer need and generate new keys as needed. The default installation of WooCommerce doesn't have a place to put the Atrex manufacturer information, so we're going to create a product attribute for it. This will make it easier for your customers to search for products by manufacturer. From the admin menu, select Products and then Attributes. Enter Manufacturer in the name field and then click the Add Attribute button. I'm going to take a minute and drop in our Worldpay credit card payment plugin and put it in test mode. This PCI compliant payment plugin is tightly integrated with Atrex and allows for charging cards immediately at the time of the order or for offline processing at the time of shipping using secure card tokenization. But for right now, installing this, it allows me to create a test paid credit card order in WooCommerce behind the scenes, as well as show you how to map a payment method later in the video. Now that WooCommerce is ready to go, let's go back to the utility and select the Setup option from the Import menu. Enter the URL to the main page of your WordPress site in the first field. Then copy and paste the consumer key and consumer secret from your Notepad document into the fields provided. Next, click on the Test Settings button. This will test the values entered above to make sure that you can connect to your site. If all is good, you'll see a message indicating that the API configuration is correct. Once the configuration is confirmed, you can close the Notepad document. As I no longer have the API keys in the Notepad document, I like to save my settings at this point and then reopen the setup window. This way I don't have to generate new keys if I accidentally cancel out of the setup. The Options tab allows you to set various settings for the utility. The first option allows you to select which database the utility will use, or you can leave this field blank to always use the database that Atrex is currently pointing to. You can also specify the values to use for image resizing and watermarking, how frequently the utility should cycle through the import-export process, and a time range to exclude when running in auto-run mode. If needed, the buttons at the bottom allow you to reset the product and image extract flags so that all items and images are pushed up again to the site. Please refer to the utility help to give you more detailed information about each of these options. The Mappings tab allows you to associate WooCommerce settings with their corresponding entries in Atrex. Use the Tax Mappings section to map WooCommerce tax rates to the tax categories that you have configured in Atrex. The two default tax category selections allow you to specify the Atrex tax category to be used for taxable and non-taxable orders that have tax rates that are not mapped above. The next set of fields allow you to specify the WooCommerce status values used to indicate new orders that are to be pulled down, those that are in process, and what status to set orders to when they are completed in Atrex. Below the status value selections are two buttons. The first will display a list of all the WooCommerce orders with the above selected new order status. The second button allows you to view the details for an individual WooCommerce order and indicate if it will be retrieved or not. The product link destinations allow you to specify where the items on the Related Code tab of the Atrex stock code editing window are displayed. Using upsell and cross-sell links can dramatically improve a site's profitability using your own products to sell others. Payment mappings associate WooCommerce payment plugins to payment types in Atrex to indicate how the order was paid. You also have the option to indicate an action type of Ignore to indicate that the order is to be imported as unpaid on the Atrex side. Lastly, you can use the Manufacturer Attribute drop-down to select the manufacturer attribute that we created in WooCommerce earlier. The model attribute already exists by default in WooCommerce, so we can enter the attribute name for this automatically. You can leave either of the attribute fields empty if you don't want them populated on your site. Click OK to save your settings, options, and mappings. With all of the configuration complete, let's push the Atrex inventory up to the site. Select Export and then Run from the main menu of the utility. Once started, it will validate the configuration settings and then update the site with your Atrex inventory information, creating or updating as needed. After the inventory has been processed, it will upload the product images and associate them with the inventory items. Both the product and image uploads are designed to only upload new or modified information to keep the process as short as possible, but please be aware that the initial load of a site or an update after a lot of data has changed can take a while. And that's it. That's all it takes to populate WooCommerce with your Atrex products and inventory. Let's pop open the WordPress admin page again and view the WooCommerce products. As you can see, this previously clean install of WooCommerce now shows all of the Atrex products, images, and inventory counts. And the best part is that your WooCommerce store is now ready to take orders. Now let's pull down the test order that I mentioned earlier. Select Import and then Run from the main menu of the utility. After confirming the start of the import, the utility will retrieve a list of pending orders, insert them into Atrex, and then update the WooCommerce orders as in process. Any previously imported orders that have been shipped will also be updated to show that they have been completed. Back in Atrex, we can view the imported orders by selecting Edit Order from the Sales menu. The reference column of the Open Order Selection window will show you the imported WooCommerce order number. When ready, the imported orders can be shipped and converted to invoices using the Ship Order function of the Atrex Sales menu. Earlier, I mentioned Auto Run mode, which can be initiated from the Import menu. Once started, the utility will drop down to the system tray and run the import and export functions in the background. You can bring the utility back to the foreground by double-clicking on the icon in the system tray. After the initial import and export functions have completed, they will be run repeatedly based upon the frequency specified in the utility setup. You can stop the auto run process from the import menu. Information about how to run the utility from the Windows command line or task scheduler is available in the utility help. And that's it for today's video. Hopefully we have shown you just how quick and easy it is to get up and running with Atrex and WooCommerce. Thank you for watching.